Hi everyone, my name is Krishna Kaur. I'm the founder of a company called Sherni Counselling Mediation, and I am the creator of My Voice Matters. I'm the author of a book called DR Speaks Up, which is a children's wellbeing book, and it's for the ages of 8 to 12 years old. Why I have came to social media. So, firstly, let me start off by saying this video might be a little bit stuttery. It's my first video. I do apologise. I am very nervous, and that's okay. That's just my own anxieties kicking in. I don't want to be here for hours editing and things like that. I'm just not that person. I'm a mum. I work, and I just haven't got time. But why I want to come to the social media world and tell you guys is I need your help a little bit, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Hear my idea, tell me what you think, and we'll go with this. So, as a person that worked in the family law sector, who then went into counselling and psychotherapy, it was really important to me to actually come to the root of a lot of problems. And to me, and you may disagree with this, it's childhood trauma. A lot of it is childhood trauma. Did you know that 50% of child-led mental health starts from the age of 14? And for some reason, it's never really been acknowledged. There's all these things out there for people with mental health, which is fabulous, great, amazing. Adults go and see a counsellor, adults go and see a therapist. However, what's there for children? Mental health has risen so much. Unfortunately, people in this world that just can't deal with life, economical climate, food, everything. You can't even go out now because you'll spend like £200 on a night out, and you know that that's the money that has to go aside for your rent. So there is just nothing there for people to enjoy life anymore, and that's fine. But one of the biggest things that I've picked up is who is focusing on children's mental health. Where is the love for children in the mental health world? And to me, that's a big subject close to my heart. As a recovering breast cancer patient, I was diagnosed in 2021, and my children were 5 and 3, and I used to go to the school that they go to, and I'd say like, oh, just keep an eye on them, They're now asking questions. Why am I losing my hair? Why am I losing my eyebrows, my eyelashes? I'm a single mom. I'm doing everything on my own. At the time, I was going through proceedings for custody of the children because people thought because I was a breast cancer patient, I couldn't be a mum. So, there was so much. Anyway, that's just a snippet of my story. But again, you can see where I'm coming from on this. Children's mental health is important. No one bothered checking in on my kids. No one was like, okay, how are you feeling? What's going on? How is your emotions? No one dealt with it. I dealt with it in the best way I could as a therapist, as a counsellor. And my kids are striving. I love them. They're my world. However, what I will say is a lot of people's kids are their world as well. And that's something that as a parent, when you see your child struggling, you don't know how to deal with it. And you almost go, oh God, what do I do? And it's almost you brush it under the carpet. You don't deal with it. You think, oh, it get better. Maybe it's hormones. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just because they're starting a new transition, but we're not looking at the bigger picture in things. And unfortunately, I'll be honest with you, it's sometimes we don't blame ourselves because, as a lot of you will agree and some of you won't agree, we take on generational trauma from our own childhoods into our child's childhood. So the reason why I've come on this, guys, I work with children and families all across the UK. I work with adults across the whole world. And what I've realised over the years is we wait far too long before giving children emotional support. We react when there's already a problem. When a child is anxious, withdrawn or struggling at school, we rarely focus on the prevention. We just go, okay, well, it could be academically they're not doing well, etc., etc. We come up with a lot of stuff. What I'm trying to do now is bring in a real change across the UK by working with Parliament, MPs, and the Department for Education for national journaling and emotional check-in in curriculums put in place for schools. I want once a week or once every 2 weeks for every child from the ages of 8 to 14 to be given a journal in primary school and secondary school in a PSHE session. They should be able to journal their emotions. So, for example, gentle questions, so not therapy, but gentle questions for them to answer. Like this week, I felt proud when. Something that made me feel worried this week was. One thing I want to get better at is, and you get the drift, right? So a few questions just for them to answer. It's almost like a well-being check-in session. But for every child, why are we waiting to pick out the child that's showing behavioural issues? Why are we waiting to pick up the child that's playing up at school? Why? Why are we doing that? Because remember, guys, when people are abused or people are feeling some sort of way, they will follow what they're told to do. So if the parent or the caregiver or anybody that may be the abuser say to them, don't talk about it, you're not allowed to say anything, you'll get yourself in trouble, all the usual things that will be said, that child is not going to say nothing. They're going to think that they can't say nothing. They can't act up. They can't play up. Some childs are really good at masking. Guys, come on, we talk about it all the time. Imposter syndrome, hiding behind the mask. Okay, so hold on. Children are good at that. They do that. So why are we not taking action against this at an earlier age to prevent it? One of the biggest things we say as a therapist and a psychotherapist and a counsellor and all the rest of them will say, learn to journal, vent it out, write it down, express your emotions through your journal. Okay, you know what the answer I get from a lot of people? But Krish, I don't want to write. Krish, I don't want to talk. Okay, because they haven't been taught how to do it. They haven't been taught how to do it the right way. And had that been put into a curriculum, people would take that away from them from school to say, that's okay. There's no shame in it. Okay, so we as adults don't realise the idea of how deeply childhood trauma can take an impact on our lives. I have clients all the time that say to me, yeah, Krish, X, Y, Z, and then they'll go, but nah, it's not from my childhood. Nah, that's normal. Yeah, I was physically beat up when I misbehaved, but that's normal. And I'm sitting there and I listen. I love my clients. I have a lot of time for them. But it's just the case where I'm like, okay, that's not normal. And it's okay. Your inner child is still there. However, if we dealt with that inner child at a younger age, some of this trauma wouldn't have gone with them further. So I think this is quite important. Moving forward, and like I said, guys, I'm really sorry I've had to write things down today because it's my first video. I'm nervous, but hopefully with your support, I'll get better at this. I'll also see every day, which one of the biggest things that stood out to me is COVID. There was nowhere structured to deal with life after COVID. How many people with their children were stuck in their houses? Children were stuck in their houses. My own son, he missed his first year of school in reception because he was chucked straight into year 1. How many children were in year 6 and then when they've gone back after COVID, they were thrown straight into secondary school? There was no transition for them. They were just put in secondary school from primary school of having like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, to be chucked straight into secondary school. To me, it was just horrible, like watching it. And I knew the impact it would have on mental health, but no one spoke out. And if I'm being honest, even myself, my anxiety, my worries, and obviously getting sick in the 2021, it just never gave me a chance to talk about things. My goal with My Voice Matters is to make it a national conversation. It's to get journaling and emotional reflection embedded into the UK's education system and be part of children's well-being. I want this country to take more realisation that if we can stop, or not stop, guys, because that's really silly, but if we can prevent some of the trauma going into adulthood, it will make people more robust when they are adults. And I think that's quite important. I believe that journaling in schools could change everything. It could help prevent future generations from suffering in silence. It could give every child a voice before their pain becomes a lifetime struggle. And I think it's just so important. Okay, let's talk about them when we fall pregnant. All right. So during pregnancy, we have midwives, we have health visitors, we have constant check-ins from people. And then as soon as the child gets to a certain age or starts growing up, the support just stops. No one checks in on parents or children anymore. The gap can lead to confusion, anxiety for the parent as well, and silence in families because the mum, the dad, the caregivers, they're all trying to be a parent. And it's hard. You know, we have grandparents that then maybe have to take the parent role because God forbid something's happened in the parent, so they've now become the parent. Aunties, uncles, you know, it happens, but no one teaches them how to be a parent. No one's teaching that. As soon as the child gets to a certain age, no one's going, all right, this is how you parent. So I want to go and say, well, hold on, we're told to keep a child healthy when they're a baby, but no one's checking in on this child. And I can't give you the answers why. Is it because we don't want to employ more social workers? So if something was to come out, we don't depend on AI anymore. We have to actually employ someone to go and do checks. Is it because we don't want to employ more teachers? Is it because we don't want to employ more safeguarding, inclusion officers, inclusion staff? I don't know. I can't tell you. But all I do know is it could create a lot of jobs in the UK if we actually get this right. Because I know that children will speak up, and also abusers will speak down because they will be so scared that that child tells someone at school. Instead of just saying to the child, you can't say anything, we should be making the child feel safe, that they can speak up, that they can talk. COVID. So, for example, going back to that, like I said, people miss school. It played on mental health. What do? We've never addressed it. And I'm going to talk, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but I'm going to. So, in the family law sector, one of the things I saw is parents breaking up. How children were put into that situation from 1 minute having this loving, happy family to just this split family, maybe going into a contact centre to see one parent, maybe going to change environments and staying at so-and-so's house for one day and so-and-so's house for one day, and don't talk to this person, don't talk to that person's abuser, we don't know. But what I do know is that how mentally impacted that could have had that towards that child, and that child would take that on into their adult life. Children absorb adult conflict and stress. They're like sponges. They just take it in and they absorb it. You might think, oh, that child's only 5-year-old. They ain't going to listen. They listen. They do understand. The emotional support must be started early before crisis, not after. Why are we waiting until, so-and-so is ready to, God forbid, hurt themselves and they're hurting themselves now. Let's go and chuck them into therapy. Is it too late? I don't know. Why I wrote my book, DR Speaks Up. My book, Thea Speaks Up, is about bullying. It's about a girl who is getting bullied at school. And she doesn't know who to tell. She can't even turn to her mum because she's worried that her mum might judge her. She can't turn to her dad because she's worried her dad might judge her. And then she meets this friend at school, and the friend notices something's wrong. As she's not going out to play, she's not going out to do things, she's very withdrawn. And her friend asks her what happened. And she confides in her friend, this little boy that's the same age as her and is in her class. And her friend, because he was taught about trauma from his nana, as he goes on to say in the book, he wrote a letter to his nan when he went through trauma. He knew what to do, so he went and told the teacher. And the book goes on from there, and it talks about this little activity section in the back. Who's your safe hero? Who's your a few safe questions and things like that. And I think it's really important. Why I wrote the book is, being from an Asian background as well, obviously we experience some racial abuse as well. And that is a bullying that people take into hard way. When I was in school, I had a note posted on my back once saying, kick me with the P word. And I remember that. I'm now 38 years old, and I remember that. And I must have been in year 7, so I was about 11 years old. And people were walking behind me and they were laughing. And they would be like, laughing. But no one took the note off me. And it was only one girl who then took the note. And I remember I just couldn't go back into that school. I just didn't want to go. I remember that trauma. What happened? I remember this so clear. My head teacher at the time almost accused me of sticking the note on my own back for attention. And that's something that stuck with me. Anyway, moving forward, I started rebelling back. I found my confidence. I got really good parents. So, my dad could put me in boxing lessons, which was my therapy. It's an art. I love it. And yeah, I fought back. I'm not going to lie to you. But however, it was my safe space. My boxing sessions were my safe space. And even now, I carry that with me. When I got cancer, I went straight back into boxing sessions because I used my childhood safety to get rid of my trauma that I was going through at that point. So anyway, moving forward, I need someone to understand where I'm coming from on this. And once a week, I'll be making videos on how to manage certain types of trauma. And I will try my hardest to put question sets on here for you guys to answer, for you guys to try and get some sort of therapy from me as a one person. But if you guys can just try and help me and push this video out to try and get this emotional journaling set from a young age of 8 to 14, it could help so many children. And children will be given a voice to speak up. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, all children may be telling the truth. But, guys, children are children. Let's give them their voice. And that's why we employ people to investigate these things. Why are we depending on computers so much? People need to be speaking to people. So much of our life was taken away from COVID. And some people might say it was only a year, it was only 18 months, whatever it was. That's a big gap. 17-year-olds that turned 18 that year should have been living a social life where they was able to go out clubbing and partying. They don't know how to act. We're blaming, saying, I see so much social media. So-and-so can't act like a man, so-and-so can't act like a woman. Our social skills had gone missing because we were stuck in a house. Look, like I said, the programme is guided journaling for reflection for children between the ages of 8 and 14. It's not therapy, it's prevention. It's emotional education that I want built into the schools. My vision is to invite parents, teachers, MPs to be part of this movement. right? This is about building culture. We're talking about feelings is normal, not shameful. And I think the biggest thing for me moving forward is trying to get this right. If I can make a difference to one child's life in this world, I can tell you that's the reason why I beat the cancer when I'm alive. Because my children are blessed. God protects them. But I just know that this is such an important topic. Anyway, I'm Krishna Kaur, and I'm the founder, as I said, of Sherni Counselling Mediation, the creator of My Voice Matters. Thank you for being here. This is just the beginning. I look forward to working with you all.